Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Law and Society podcast series brought to you by CDPP. Before we dive in, a quick note about who we are. The Center for Development Policy and Practice is an independent research institution which focuses on the economic and public policy issues, especially those impacting marginalized and the vulnerable communities. The Center for Law, Economics and Society, or CLES, is a CDPP initiative which is dedicated to exploring and understanding the evolving legal landscape of India. Today, we are honored to be joined by Mohammed Tarique, an Ashoka Fellow, a founder of Koshish, and an advocate for the rights of the homeless and the marginalized. With academic roots in political science and social work from Delhi University and Tata Institute of Social Sciences, he has played a key role in shaping national policies and currently serves as the Supreme Court appointed monitoring committee for the urban homeless shelters. He's also been featured in the Forbes India's 30 under 30 list. Our focus for this episode is access to justice for the urban poor and homeless, a very important theme of his work. So, Tariq sir, would you like to add anything to your introduction?
I think this is fine. That was very generous introduction I gave.
No issues, sir. So, sir, with your permission, can we begin with the questions? Yes, great.
Thank you for having
Eh,
me for this podcast.
No worries, sir. It's an honor to have you here, actually. So, sir, you have worked closely with the homeless individuals and beggars' homes in Delhi and Mumbai. So, can you walk us through what you witnessed there and what was revealed about the legal system's treatment of the urban poor?
When we speak of urban poor, actually the population which is entering the beggars' home, that's still the population which is largely invisible for people. People don't know, like as a society, people don't know that there's a place called Beggar's Home. And even those who know, they see it as probably a shelter or rehabilitation home, whereas actually these are the custodial institutions. So we, as a legal process, homeless people are being arrested, produced in front of the court, and then they are sent to these homes. So, in fact, my entry into these homes happened by chance. I wasn't aware that there's a law like BPBA existing and people are being penalized for being on the streets or being in a state of destitution. So, I was working with a group of homeless youth, and one day I realized that many of those youth were missing. They were not to be seen in the area. And when I inquired about them, I got to know that they have been taken to beggars' jail. That was for the first time I heard about Beggars Home, and when I tried going there, I wasn't given permission to enter because obviously it's a custodial place, so you need court's approval to or official permission to go there. So it took me a day to organize the permission. And next day when I went there, what I saw was completely unbelievable. Like hundreds of people just locked in there, and their only fault was that they are poor people. So this is when I was doing my masters from the ISS, and so I had some experience with homeless people during my undergrad days at Delhi University, and but this was new, you know, like homeless people being treated in a bad way. Uh, Till then appeared to me as a case of people ill-treating poor people, and but this was systemic. This was this was how state was treating people. Till then, what I had seen in Delhi shelters when I was during my undergrads at Hindu College, I saw homeless people living on the streets, going to the shelters, finding it very difficult. I saw all of that. I was aware of that, but all that was people treating them badly, and but it wasn't state's response. At least state was trying to create shelters for them. But what I witnessed in Begozoom in Bombay was state actually in a systemic way. There's a whole legal mechanism that has been created to criminalize these people. So this is then I chose for my fieldwork the same place, and a year later I initiated Koshish as part of Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Uh, After working in Mumbai for about few years, and then we were invited by Delhi government to run a similar program in Delhi. Uh, it's almost same. In fact, more than 20 states in the country have Beggary Act, and provisions are more or less same. Uh, Begging is penalized. Now, to a layman, it may appear that okay, beggary is an offense. There's a lot of uh, 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 perceptions around beggary that okay, there are organized gangs, there are syndicates. Unfortunately, the way beggary has been defined in the law,
Hmm.
that is very crucial, and unfortunately, people don't get to know about it. Sorry. For example, one of the clauses says if you are wandering around aimlessly, that that is being defined as begging. Now, any person with mental illness who
Hmm.
has been abandoned by the family would be roaming on the streets
Yes.
aimlessly. And in fact, most of the beggars' home across the country that I have traveled have large number of homeless mentally ill people being out there. On one end, we are in clearly acknowledging we have law like Mental Health Care Act where we are saying mental illness cannot be penalized. On the other hand, just by altering their legal identity, we are penalizing the people like that. Similarly, if you are without any visible means of sustenance, if you don't have a visible means to sustain yourself, then you are a beggar. A lot of elderly people, a lot of abandoned people, a lot of migrant workers who don't get work on a daily basis, people from certain denotified tribes who have been traditionally been occupied into things like into skills like rope walking, street performance, those sort of things, fortune telling. All of that technically is begging. Now, this is clearly penalizing people for who they are. You know, it's not an offense that they are committing. Their existing itself has been turned into an offense. If I'm an abandoned elderly person lying on the streets, I have not done anything, but lying on the street itself has been turned into a legally an offense, and therefore you can punish me. And the punishment also, you'll be surprised to know that it ranges from 0 to 10 years. It's beyond your. How do you understand that? Actually, if someone is 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 helpless, state should be society should be supporting that person. As a state, we should be having mechanism where that person is supported to be able to get out of that cycle of dependence. Instead, we are penalizing that person. So yes, this was same across like Delhi, Bombay. Nothing was different. In fact, Delhi was using the same law that Maharashtra has,
Yeah.
BPDA, Bombay Prevention of Begging Act.
Thank you, sir. So, in your previous answer, you mentioned a lot of intersectional issues at the same time, how it affects different categories of people. So, sir, how do you think it impacts homeless women and trans people from the transgender community?
Within the homeless population, they are the more uh, they have the higher vulnerability because uh, let me ask you a question. Like we at least in past few years we've been talking about violence against women, right? Compared to earlier years, in past few years there have been more open conversations around this, and there have been policy issues being looked into it. How many times you have come across discussions, deliberations around violence against homeless women?
Rarely.
Even within the homeless women are far more marginalized. If you look at from the women lens, there also they are not being counted. If you use the homeless lens, within that also they are more vulnerable. In fact, to an extent that the abuse that they go through is actually not acknowledged as an abuse but seen as a way of life. If a homeless woman wants to report an abuse or violence against him, chances are very high that the complaint would not be taken, and it would be seen as it's your way of life. Every category of the elderly, mentally ill, women, denotified, transgenders, all are highly vulnerable for arrest. Now it is left entirely on the understanding or discretion of the raiding officer Whether they want to arrest the person, they want to leave the person, they want to just give them warn them, and or they want to prosecute them. Homeless women face violence on a daily basis. It's like, someone will choose to stay with this woman for as long as he wants to stay. The day he feels I'll go or find work somewhere else or wants no more wants to live with this woman, she will probably look for another man that she'll stay with. Now, the general perception around this arrangement is, and this I'm saying after speaking to hundreds of women because we have been doing this for 2 decades now. The perception and understanding that people get is this is how you live. So you leave one man and then you live with another man. The reality is so painful that this woman does not have a choice of not being violated. If she's choosing to stay with this man, it is not because she loves him. She may not be liking this person. She's choosing to live with this person because being with someone means she's not available for everyone. So she's choosing to be abused by one person every day than being abused by different people on different days. That's how bad it is. But we don't. I mean, nobody. I have not seen any discussion around. Even when you are talking about policies for women's safety, the plans being made. Rarely it is being seen from a context of a homeless women. Something like bathing, people stop their bikes under the flyover just to watch them, and you feel helpless. You can't do anything about it, and then you get used to it because I mean that getting used to it comes from your helplessness because you cannot do anything about it. You cannot address this. The solution is simple actually. It's not that we cannot just allow public facilities to be used by them free of cost or give them some monthly passes or some arrangement can be done where at least this sort of harassment can be stopped. But for us, by and large, this population remains invisible. Within that invisible population of homeless people, women are more invisible because they are not seen. They don't find a place even in our policies and programs also. So they remain invisible in the policies. They remain invisible in our programs also. Show me a document that talks about safety of homeless women, that talks about what measures state is taking. We know that there are women out there sleeping on the streets. What are the measures? What are the steps we are taking to ensure their safety?
Thank you, sir, so much. So you mentioned about different types of solutions, right, in the state, and one of them is the legal aid system. So, sir, despite having a constitutional backing when it comes to the legal aid system, do you think it is still inaccessible? And in one of your research papers, you've also mentioned that it is more of a scheme than a right. So, would you like to elaborate on that?
See, when it comes to legal aid, see, these people, you'll have to understand their situation, the context that they come from. I'm a homeless person. I get picked up. Now, how do I avail seek this legal aid, which should be available for me? I don't have a family member. I don't have anyone backing me, supporting me, who can go and approach some lawyer or legal aid lawyer. Now, the legal aid has to be present for me. They'll have to come to me, which is not the case. Now, this would still be a subsequent step. The primary thing would still be that a recognition or acknowledgement of these people as someone who is being processed as part of the criminal justice system. Uh, their condition is worse than people who are in the prisoners who are in the prison because at least there are certain norms, certain SOPs are there. This is how you have to maintain these places. This is what facilities have to be made available. These are the rights of the people in custody. But when it comes to homeless people residing in the beggars homes, even those are gone. So since no legal aid lawyer goes to beggars home, practically there is no possibility of any homeless person availing a legal aid. So how do I see? The arrangement is that how it is implemented the Beggary Act. There's a beggar squad, a special team by the police, which will go and round up homeless people, put them in a van, and produce them in the court, and then take them to beggars home, which is for a remand period. Now I'm inside custody. I do not have any family member living with me in the city. Now, how do I approach lawyers because lawyers are not there? There's no access. There is lawyers are not there anyways. So and even if they were present, even if legal aid system was available to people in the beggars home, even then also I wouldn't be able to avail it because lawyers are not coming to beggars home then. See, you look at we nowadays we are also preparing certain kind of reports on human rights, justice reports, which are the categories that we actually take to make those assessments. It's only prisons, it's only prisons. Like so, the other kind of custodial institutions, other kind of laws where people are being prosecuted as part of the criminal justice system, uh, they are not part of those reports. So there is no question of getting any. But legal aid could be a very very strong possibility because very strong, because all that they have, and I very strongly feel that if legal aid is made available, all that these people have is legal aid because they don't have money or resources to have their own representation. They are also not able to articulate. They cannot defend themselves also, and since they haven't really done any offense, there's not much work that needs to be done. You know, it's just simply somebody being present there, somebody making that claim on behalf of them, saying that yes, this person works in. It's just 5 minute thing. For that 5 minute thing, they would be probably be spending 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in the custody. So in our work, when I was part of as part of Koshish, what we had done, uh, we were allowed by the state legal service authority that some lawyers would be allotted, and then chief metropolitan magistrate. We had an arrangement where Koshish was allowed to submit a report on behalf of the clients. And just by using that, just by speaking to the person, we would prepare a social investigation report, which to the superintendent of the home would be sent to the court, and that helped court release these people. Now it's just if every institution is just given one lawyer, so many people would not be living for years in these institutions because they don't belong there. So legal aid is has to be if anyone who needs legal aid, the most I would say that these are the people, or also these are not the cases that will go on for years because यहाँ पर कुछ क्राइम नहीं हुआ है. इट्स नॉट लाइक कि कुछ चोरी स्टैब्लिश करनी है, कोई क्राइम हुआ है जो स्टैब्लिश करना है. दैट इन्वेस्टिगेशन हैज टू हैपन. इट्स वेरी सिंपल. आप स्ट्रीट पे थे नहीं थे, आप स्ट्रीट पर क्यों थे, इट्स अ लॉ of a very different nature, but the criminal processes are same. So if legal aid lawyer is available, same day these people can be out.
Thank you, sir.